Welcome to the show, y'all. Welcome to the show, y'all. It's the Greg Davis Show. We gon' talk the talk, so get ready. We came to push the call, educating. So just lock that down and keep it steady. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Everything is alright. We're gonna help you get your life. It's the Greg Davis Show.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. I want the Lord to continue to send now prosperity. This is part 2 of an exclusive interview with Greg Davis, the man, not the bishop. We had an opportunity to really look at the last 20 plus years of his life, and we looked at the highs and lows of relationship. We've talked about family. We've talked about love. We've talked about what we're focusing on, when the right one comes. But we have a few more questions that we need to address, because it didn't just stop there. We need to identify what were some of the areas that created the situation that caused the divorce. We need to talk about some of the areas that transitioned him from the pulpit to television. So welcome back, Bishop.
Good to be back. What you done a great job.
I thank you.
You know, when you talk about how did I get here, we went through Katrina, ended up in Pennsylvania. One of our prayers was for us to go on national TV. Never thought that I would be asked by TCT Network to come and host my own show. Things were going good, excited. Never thought I'd be asked to host Rejoice in the Word. Something happened then. That's where it really came to a head.
So you left Detroit, moved to Louisiana after Katrina.
No, moved to Louisiana. Then Katrina happened, and then we moved to Pennsylvania. Pastored church in Pennsylvania, then was asked to pastor another one in Delaware. And then, of course, hosting a very successful, popular show, Rejoice in the Word. A man told me, and I'm not going to name him, he said, it may be some issues because you all have done everything together. You're doing this show by yourself. There may be some, and it did cause some friction. Even though we prayed for the success, the very thing we prayed for became the very hindrance, because it caused me. Success costs a lot, and sometimes it has a strain on the wrong things. And if it's not the right one, then it will not last.
I often say is that the anointing is a heavy cross to bear. And it's a blessing to have. It's an honor to have God's favor. But people really don't understand how heavy the cross of anointing can be in your life, because this is something you prayed for together. And when it happened, that cross became one of the heaviest things you carried, it sounded like.
See, it's pressure, and if you can't stand the pressure together, and here's one of the biggest things, you have to communicate about the pressure. Then you have to acknowledge that there's pressure, and then you have to say, what are we going to do about this? And I never forget, it was said to me, you know, you need to come home and give up all that. And I wasn't willing to do it. I'm just being honest. I just wasn't willing to do it. And so she was already pastoring one of the churches, and then I gave over the second church that I founded. The Lord told me to.
Let me ask you this, because people that's watching will say, well, your wife asked you to give that up and come home so you can be there with your family. Do you think that you chose your...
No, it wasn't with the family. My daughter was she was 16 years old. It was with her, basically. I need you home, only for us to come home and do what we do anyway, and that is work.
So do you feel that you were positioned to make a choice between your wife and your dreams?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Looking back, would you change anything?
About making my decision?
Right.
No. No, I wouldn't. I'm in the will of God. I believe I've been called to nations through television. And I think, not saying, and you know, I want to hear, you know, again, this goes back to the right one. And I think we grew apart. And when the right one comes, I think that you'll be able to work it out. But no, I wouldn't.
So let's move forward a few years. It's 2012-ish. You're divorced. You haven't been single in over 20-something years.
It's culture shock. Jesus Christ. It's not what it was.
I remember you saying to me,
God.
how do you do this?
It's not what it was.
This is
Oh
horrible.
my God, it's the worst thing in the world
This
to be
is horrible.
single.
And you hated being single. You hated dating. You hated approaching people. You literally said to me, how do you do this?
Yeah, it's a culture shock. If you've been used to being married 20 years, and it's changed. It's like the man that came out of jail in the glass heels, and he didn't know people were. I'm gonna get you suckers. He walking like, what's going on around me? Stuff has changed. It's changed. The women have become the men. The women literally have become the men. They've learned our game. They've learned everything that we taught them through us hurting them. Now they're not serious. They don't want a relationship. Everybody's hurt. Everybody is damaged goods. Or everybody is saying, here's the famous statement, I'm doing me.
Yeah.
I don't need a man. What do you say to a woman that has a career, has her own house, has her own car, paying her own bills? What you gonna do?
Right.
Especially if you're not biblically based, that you don't know that you complete one another.
Right.
And so when the right one comes, I have to keep going back, you will complete one another. When the right one comes, you will know that even though you may have all this stuff, you're still not complete because you're still looking for your rib. You're still looking for your helpmeet. And so cultureshock.com.
Let's go there, because this journey, I was there. Tell us about your first date, when you finally had the nerve. Wait a minute, not even your first date, but when you finally, because you went through a period, as anyone that's been divorced, it's like a death. You kind of go inward a little bit. For someone that's already an introvert, it's not hard to go deeper in. But when you make a decision, okay, it's time for me to get on with my life, move on with my life. It's okay for me to date somebody. And you struggled because you had the man, Greg Davis, but then you had the bishop that was hovering over you.
It's never okay for the bishop to date anybody, especially if he's going through divorce or whatever.
Exactly.
I met a young lady who got me through it. Literally. Now, I need you to understand this. I am publicly going through divorce, but then I'm also diagnosed while I'm going through the divorce with type 2 diabetes. So not only am I going through the divorce publicly on TV every Friday all over the world, okay, but I'm also going through a health challenge of type 2 diabetes. And I have to literally lose weight in front of the world, literally the world. And I'm going through a divorce. I met a young lady in my building, and we started dating. And she literally helped me transform to the person, even the way I dress. But let me say one thing about relationships. And I thought about this on the way here. And that is, relationships are about timing. And they can be the right one, but at the wrong time. Because I met her on a rebound. And even though she's sweet, we're still friends, sweetest person in the world. It was just the wrong timing for me and for her. She was coming out of a relationship. She had been with somebody for years also. And we're both vulnerable. We're both, I remember she used to go to school and work, and I would be at home, and literally I would cry because she was gone, because I was never this cleany person, but all of a sudden, because I'm going through this divorce and I'm running and walking every day, losing this weight, I'm cleany. I'm like, what's wrong with you? So for 6 months, I'm cleany and needy, till one day I got up and said, what are you doing? This is not you. I would only work on Fridays to go do my show and preach when I had to. And I got up one day, and I did like the prodigal son. I said, I'm going back to myself. And I got back into the swing of things. And I didn't date for a while. I began to be healed. Because I'm going to say something, and it's going to shock them upstairs. They might not believe me. But men don't heal, they hoe.
That's good. Say that again. Because
men go from one relationship to another. They never stop and heal. They go, then women will tell you, I don't want to date because I'm healing. Men, they never heal. They go from one relationship to another. Women stop because men don't think emotionally. They think, I can't, okay.
They think. We'll just leave it right there. So, you're out here, it's a culture shock.
Mm-hmm.
You are trying to figure out, how do I even begin to live this single life? And I know you hated it.
Mm-hmm.
You was like, you know,
I went to dinner one time with a young lady, and she said to me, "Why do you have to wear your pants so straight and tight?" I said, "Enjoy your meal, the last one." Went to dinner with another one, and all she did was talk. I said, "Enjoy this meal, 'cause it's the last one." Because your tolerance becomes very low when you know. Because I knew I wanted to be happy, and anything that don't sound like it, when the right one comes, it will sound just like a river just flowing. When the right one comes, they don't rub you the wrong way. You know it, you sense it, you feel it. Don't tell me that you need to go on 10 dinner dates to figure out if this person is the right one. You know it when they come out of their mouth. It's just something about it. And you know, if you're going to find the right one, let me say this too. In my book, I talk about when the right one comes, it takes longer to get the right one. You can settle for the wrong ones. Mm-hmm. You can get them quickly. They are a dime a dozen, as my grandfather said, but when the right one comes, it takes longer to find them.
I have literally been there for this journey, mm-hmm. and I've heard you come back from some of these dates and be quite frustrated and like, yeah, I'm deleting her number, I'm never calling her again, or you know. But you kept trying. You kept going, because many people be like, you know.
Oh, because I still believe in love.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I didn't want for you, for your heart to get cold and turn your heart on love. And like you said, you still have a heart for love. So now, you start saying just little nuggets and saying little things and not even realizing. You
and Keith Farmer were doing a show mm-hmm. downtown. Mm-hmm. And you said, come on, we can do a live radio show at this place. I got on my bike, and I was just, you know, y'all were going to talk about relationship. And I sat down, and the first tweet, well, no Instagram then, the first tweet, well, no graphics, I tweeted, when the right one comes, I said, the first one was, in order to find the right one, you have to become the right one. 3 years later, thousands of quotes later, that's how when the right one comes. And people start retweeting them. I'm like, then I thought of more, and I thought of more, and I thought of more.
When we come back, we're gonna get into some of these quotes. Greg Davis Show, we'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Greg Davis, and over 3 years ago, I started posting tweets and posts on when the right one comes. Well, I tried to stop, but they wouldn't let me stop. So everybody's been asking me to write a book, When the Right One Comes. So I've taken all of my collections of When the Right One Comes, and I'm putting them in one book. You can pre-order the book right now by going to gregdavisshow@gmail.com. That's gregdavisshow@gmail.com. Order now, When the Right One Comes.
You've been able to hear a lot of what's going on the inside of this book. I need you to do me a favor. Go right now and get your order to gregdavisshow.com. Go to the website, pre-order your book, put your order in. You know what, ladies, we oftentimes get together and we talk about a lot of different things. How about you have a book club meeting with this book right here, and you all get this book and sit down and discuss some of the quotes, because you know what? We don't have time to settle for the wrong one. We don't have time, so we need to find out what we need to do to make sure we're the right one, so when the right one comes, we're ready. And I'm gonna sign everybody that watches this program, I'm gonna sign everybody's book and put their name in it. I will sign it. 692 quotes we picked for this book. Out of how many?
out of literally thousands, because I would do them every day. And when I tried to stop, people would say, where's When the Right One Comes? Then, of course, now we got them looking pretty. I got a graphic person, Paris does all that, sends them out. But can I just share a couple of my favorites on page
Please,
57?
page 57.
When the right man comes, you won't have to wait for him to get ready. He will come equipped and ready to be the man. When the right one comes, and they're all numbered. They're numbered right here. It's not your traditional book. It's 145 pages, but it's not a traditional book. They are numbered. But number 238, don't let bad memories, and this one's important to me, Utopia, don't let bad memories of the wrong one cause you to miss out on great new memories with the right one.
I like it.
We live off of old memories and off of the past, and we don't cleanse ourselves of that, and so we bring the old stuff into new situations. And that's why I go back, Lola, over and over again and say, in order to find the right one, you got to become the right one. We're always putting it on somebody else. When the right one comes, this and that. But it's really, you got to be true to yourself, and you have to become the right one.
During that time that you were writing these great quotes, is it safe to say, and I'm just asking a question, I don't have the answer to this, were you the right one for someone at that time, or were you still healing and trying to become that restored individual so that you could be the right one?
You know, I'm going to say something very, 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 eyebrow raising and everybody's hair stand up. I don't know if I've ever been the right one.
That's fair.
You know, really, to say, I don't know. I don't know. You know, when I think about my grandparents were married 60-some years. My grandmother and grandfather married at 18 and 17 years old. I'll tell you how much my grandfather loved my grandmother. When he married her, she was pregnant with my father by another man, and he married her pregnant. 65 years they were married. I stood in their marriage, their remarriage, in their 50th. They were married 60-something years. That's the right one.
Right.
I don't know if I've ever found the right one or even been the right one, because it hasn't worked.
Quote number 234 says, when the right one comes, you can't shake the feelings no matter how hard you try.
And let me say something about these are collections of my thoughts. They're not throwing off on nobody. It's not about ex-wives. It's not. These are collections of my thoughts. You can't. When you find the right one, you can't shake them. The young lady that I talked about earlier, I have never cried over a woman before. I cried the day that we broke up. I was literally her first. She wasn't my first. I was her first, but it was like I was her. She was, yeah. And she's happily married, been married years, got grown kids and all that stuff. But you know, it was something about her that I can't even tell you what. She was beautiful inside out. Yeah, she was beautiful inside out. I think when the right one comes, they're beautiful inside out.
With you being a man of many hats, I'm going to read another quote. Quote number 163, it says, when the right one comes...
Hold on, let me go there. See, you can do this. You can be on the phone with your girlfriend at 163?
Yes.
Not about page numbers, about numbers. Yeah.
It's page 43.
I got it.
Quote number 163. When the right one comes, there will be a mutual respect and admiration for each other's careers.
Yeah, you can't... See, we always quote that scripture, being unequally yoked as being believers and unbelievers, but you have to be yoked in every area of your life. You're a career-minded person, that other person don't even have a job. You're career-minded, and that other person don't even know what a career is. We just find people to fill space. You have to be going the same way. Nobody is going to understand that you work 10 hours, 12 hours a day, and they don't even have a job. We just do foolishness. Right. How you gonna marry somebody that don't even understand the word career, and you have a career? Or your goal is to be an entrepreneur, and they don't even have a job, or they're just working at McDonald's. You're unequally yoked. It's not just believer and believer. It's in every. You got to have the same. If I like going to the theater and the person ain't never stepped foot in the theater, why would I even consider that? If I like art, And that other person, well, you can teach them. I remember a young lady at my church in Louisiana. She always say, we say, Melanie, Ronald ain't, y'all ain't the same. You got a job, this man, I'm gonna make that man. You cannot make a man. They're already made. When the right one comes, you won't have to change anything about them. They're already who they are. It's in the book.
Page 80, as a matter of fact.
Page 80.
Quote number 366.
Quote 366.
When the right man comes, he will be a man of integrity.
Yeah. You want somebody. See, I believe that a woman will follow a man anywhere if he's a man of integrity and a man of his word. You don't have to make a woman respect you if you are a man of your word. But, you know, if they know that you don't have any integrity, your credit's bad, your word is bad, everything else, they're not following you to the corner store, as my grandfather would say.
What about those scenarios and situations where you kind of have troubles communicating? On page 81, number 368, it says, when the right one comes, you'll never struggle with what to say.
No. You know, some people, you ever been out on these dates before? You got to struggle to talk to the person. Got to find you looking up in the ceiling. Let me see. No. You have good communication skills. You want to know everything about them. And here's the real thing about it. When the right one comes, this is where I've made mistakes. You will become friends first. You want